Hello, welcome to the 13th episode of Taking Names. This is my playthrough of Elden Ring. We're in Volcano Manor. Now in the last episode we were doing Rani's questline and we were in Learning of the Lakes. And if you're wondering, did we just skip through a whole bunch of content in Atlas Plateau and Mount Gelmir? Well, I played through those sections as well, but for the Taking Names playthrough episodes, I think I just want to focus on the Legacy dungeons. And that way we can get through this playthrough a little bit faster with less episodes, and then we can move on to some other more interesting type of content. And I've got a lot of cool Elden Ring content that I want to make rather than just do a straight playthrough. So as you saw right at the start there, we were talking to Tanith, which was the overlord, I guess you could call them, of Volcano Manor, and she actually gives you some assassination contracts to fulfill, and if you do that then you can just go straight to the boss. However, one of those is actually going to require access to Mountaintop of the Giants, and I just figured because we're not actually there yet, there's really no point to do that. Plus, if you skip through all of Volcano Manor, then you don't actually see all of the cool stuff in here. And I think Legacy dungeons are pretty much the best part of the Souls games. They are just really well designed levels, and I'm always interested to see what type of level designs that From Software come up with. So I think personally for me, I would be doing a disservice if we skipped out on doing the Legacy dungeon here. And there's only 6 of them in Elden Ring anyways, so we may as well do it. And honestly, Volcano Manor is actually one of the best ones so far. I really enjoyed this. I love Stormvale Castle and Academy of Raya Lucaria as well, and Volcano Manor is definitely right up there alongside those two. I think what's actually happened is that because there's more platforming to do, that's actually helped From Software's level design and has tasked them with new ways of actually creating these type of outrageous levels where they go from one area to another and then loop back around. And I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that there's more platforming in the game. Now when you get to this point, you actually have 2 lifts. One takes you down to the bottom there where you fight this lizard dragon, kind of like this magma worm maker that you fought a couple of times already, and then the lift that goes up takes you to this temple, which takes you to the Godskin Noble mini boss fight. But first we have to deal with this magician who can be a little bit tricky, but if you try to get around the back of him and then use your jumping slash, he can be taken down pretty quickly. So once you go into the temple, that's going to trigger the Godskin Noble fight. Now actually I wasn't quite ready for this boss fight. I was looking for a site of grace, and then the Godskin Noble appeared out of nowhere, so I had to kind of improvise a little bit here, and I got my bow and arrow out and that didn't work. He came too quickly, and then I was getting stuck on a lot of the furniture, whereas he wasn't. He just runs through it all. Now the cool thing about this boss fight is that there are some pillars around the edge there that you can use in this boss fight, which wasn't the case with the one on the bridge, whereas that one you kind of have to fight him straight up. And also in this one you can use your summon as well, and as you can see I wasn't really that ready because I was still trying to get my summon out, and I think it took me a while. I decided to just roll back as far as I could and get that summon out. And I got really lucky there because I did the summon and then he hit me with the magic, and he probably should have killed me there. It's actually really weird that the summon takes a bit of time to get going. Like you summon him and then he takes about, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds before he actually fights. And I'm kind of just pleading with him, get up and fight. But once he's ready to fight, he helps a lot. He can take a huge chunk of health from the Godskin Noble, and I don't really have to do that much. I can get around the other side of the Godskin Noble and try to attack him from there because it makes it a bit harder for him to hit both of us at once. This is probably his most dangerous move, the one where he rolls around, and you can get hit by him even just by touching him. So that is one that is kind of hard to avoid, especially like if you're trying to hit him and then you end up touching him in some way. but I really didn't do this that much here, and this was the first try at the Godskin Noble, and I was able to defeat him here pretty easily. Now from the Godskin Noble to the final boss of the level, there's still a little bit to go, so you're going to have to take care of some enemies here. Nothing too difficult. You have these snake monsters that kind of remind me of the snakes in Dark Souls in Sen's Fortress or Anno Londor. And then once you get to this room here, there's a portal that takes you directly to the boss fight. And if you actually did the 3 contracts for Tanith, that would also take you to the same area. So you can either do the Volcano Manor, or you can do the 3 assassination contracts, which takes you to the final boss, which is Rykard. Well, he comes in 2 forms. So the first form of him is the God-devouring serpent, and then after that, you're going to fight Rykard. So I found this quite difficult, and in the end I realized it was all just about conserving health potions as much as you can for the second phase, where you really have to go all out and defeat him as fast as you can in that second phase. But in this first phase, it's mostly about conserving your health potions. So what you really want to do is you want to go in and hit him a few times and then get straight back out, because he has this tail swipe that takes off a lot of damage. And so here I'm just going to be hitting him like maybe 3 or 4 times, and then I'm just going to go straight back out, because if I don't, I'll get hit by that tail swipe and then I'll have to use a health potion. But aside from that, it's just much better to stick close to him, because if you stick close to him, he has less attacks to actually hurt you. If you're in that middle distance, he might try to bite you, and if you're further away, he has this ground attack that is really devastating. So it's just easier to stay close to him and then not have to deal too much with all of the other attacks. Now once you get to the second phase, he has very similar attacks, although he has a few extra ones because he's got a sword now. And if you're close to him, you want to avoid the stomp. So there'll be a few times where he does stomp on you and you'll have to try and roll out of it. There'll be other times where he jumps up and then moves further away. And so you don't have to worry too much about that. You just have to keep running towards him. Try to avoid all of those flames and fire as well. But you want to take him down as quick as you can, obviously. You want to just keep on hitting him. And in this phase, because you've saved up so many of your health potions, you're essentially just going to trade blow for blow. And that is probably the best way to do it. For me anyways. I don't know how people are going to do it if they go with a no hit run, because it almost feels like that would be impossible, trying to avoid all of the flame skulls that are going to come at you in the second phase. So once you get him down to about 50% health, then all hell breaks loose, and then there's just attacks coming out of every corner of the screen. And it's actually kind of weird because there's really no way to see what is going on. You've got this massive snake serpent thing that is blocking up half of the screen, and then you've got all of these flaming skulls appearing from the left and right trying to kill you. As you can see, that you might see some of those in the background right now. So I think actually sticking close by him actually prevents some of those flaming skulls from hitting you. Now from this point on, it's obviously just about maintaining your health and make sure that you don't get one-shotted, so keep your health up as much as you can, drink the potions even if it means that you're not going to be hitting him. There's always going to be other opportunities that come by. And I think if you stick close to him, you're getting rid of a lot of those mid-range and long-range attacks that he does. The other thing I haven't mentioned is that I used the Mimic Tear at the start of the first phase rather than the second phase, and that is because I think that it's better to conserve as many health potions as you can for the second phase. If you let that first phase go on for too long, then you're going to run out of health potions for the second phase. So that really was my strategy, to make the first phase go as quick as possible so that I have as many health potions in that second phase. But honestly, I think this is a pretty difficult boss. I was already pretty over leveled and I was at level 120, and it still took me about 30 to 40 minutes to beat Rykard. And so I think if you're coming here at level 80, this could be a very tough boss battle to do. But anyways, that's going to be it for this one. I hope you're enjoying my playthrough of Elden Ring, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and also to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.